Good morning. This is Open Mics with Dr. Stites. I'm Alexis Del Cid, filling in for Dr. Stites this week. Losing weight is typically something people celebrate. You see it all the time. But drastic weight loss often leaves behind extra skin, like this. And a lot of people, they want that skin gone. They need that skin gone before they can fully celebrate their new body. So today we're talking about surgery to remove that excess skin. And a warning for any squeamish viewers, we will be showing some video from inside the operating room, which includes the surgery that Melody Griffin got about a month ago. As Janine Kiesling shows us, the skin removal was only part of a long-term health journey.
Melody overcame multiple health problems, including cancer, but she had one more major surgery to fulfill a dream, 17 years in the making.
I've wanted this for so long.
In 2006, Melody Griffin hit a low point when her weight hit an all-time high at 256 pounds. For her tiny 4'9" frame, she was severely obese. She had diabetes, high blood pressure, and sleep apnea.
I was going to die early.
Melody knew she had to do something. That same year, she had gastric bypass surgery.
I lost almost 130 pounds, and that's about what I weigh now, so half me disappeared. It was the best decision ever.
Melody's chronic health conditions disappeared quickly, and within months, she was off all of her medications. Her sleep apnea was a thing of the past, but losing all that weight did leave Melody with something that slowed her down.
So much skin. I had a personal trainer, and she would tell me to do these. I'd do these set down, but then I'd have to lift my leg and touch my toes, and I'd have to lean way back just so the skin would move enough that I could barely reach them.
Melody tried to get her insurance to approve skin removal surgery, but got turned down time and time again. Then in 2017, Melody felt a lump in her abdomen. It turned out to be ovarian cancer.
If I hadn't lost the weight, I wouldn't have felt it as soon as I did, and it would have progressed further.
Beating obesity, then cancer, Melody was more determined than ever to get her skin removal surgery.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
She turned to Dr. Julie Holding at the University of Kansas Health System.
When I came to see Dr. Holdings, I was so impressed with her, and she took care of everything and was so great about getting all the documentation that they needed so that it was approved the first time.
Dr. Holding says patients like Melody, who put in the work to lose all that weight, want the skin gone. As a doctor, she knows it can lead to skin infections. She finds doing skin removal surgery rewarding.
She's done all the work. I'm just going to show it to her by taking the skin off.
What an incredible journey. We are thrilled to have Melody Griffin joining us now. Melody, thank you so much for being here. We also have here alongside me in the studio two of our experts in plastic surgery, Dr. Julie Holding and Dr. Michelle D'Souza. Thank you both for taking time for being here to talk about this. Before we go any further, I want to show some before and after pictures, Melody, we have of you. It is so cool to see. Wow, that is remarkable. Before on the left, after on the right, such a difference. There again, there you are, before and after. Before the gastric bypass surgery, this is after you're able to wear some amazing outfits now. Now, before the gastric bypass surgery, how long had you been living with the extra weight?
Oh, probably, I worked a night shift job, and I just crept up on me probably 3-4 years.
3 or 4 years. And as you shared with Janine, you were dealing with a number of issues. You had diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea. That was before you lost the weight. How are you feeling? How were you feeling emotionally? I bet that was taxing on you as well.
Yeah, you can't eat. And that can sometimes make you sad, but I was so happy that the weight was I was finally able to get it to come off.
Now, we're going to get to that excess skin removal surgery in a moment, but just to be clear, you had all those extra conditions with that weight. Now you no longer struggle with diabetes or sleep apnea or any of the other problems you had?
Everything cleared right up. in no
That's
time.
incredible.
Within a month.
And then you still had that struggle with the extra skin. You talked about not being able to do simple things because you had to pull the skin out of the way. What finally pushed you to seek out this surgery?
After cancer, it's just I had so many scars because cancer not only the ovarian cancer, but then it caused me other health issues, gallbladder, bowel obstruction. I had so many scars on my belly and all the skin, and I just wanted to be completely done with all of it. So I started working on trying to get my skin removed.
And for that journey, we want to turn now to our experts here at the University of Kansas Health System. We have our plastic surgeons, Dr. Dusza and Dr. Holding. Thank you both again for being here. Some people think of this as a cosmetic procedure, and they don't understand the intricacies that go into this. She had trouble exercising and continuing her path to health. Can you talk about the other benefits, Dr. Holding, that come with skin removal surgery?
Well, part of the issue as well is that when you have the skin folding over, it has a lot of extra moisture, and so that can lead to infections and odors and things that are extremely difficult to treat because it's a chronic problem.
Right.
That leads to, not going out, not being close to people, not doing things, difficulty exercise, like Melody was saying. It also, something that people don't think about is, the chafing, the rubbing of the skin. And also, some people, their skin will be so stretched out and delicate that when they just turn and move, they can have skin tears. And that can be very painful.
And Dr. Dusza, you're nodding your head yes.
Yeah.
You see this as well with your patients. It's a real health problem.
And they spend a lot of time trying to hide it, in their clothes or from their friends and family.
And having gone through all that work to lose the weight or the procedure to enable them to live a healthier life, it's a shame that they have to deal with a second problem like this.
I've had some patients say that they almost wish they had the weight back because it's hard to look at themselves with the extra skin because it's a kind of reminder of what they used to have to carry around.
Boy, that's a cruel way, a cruel twist of fate. You go through all that and then you wish you had it back. I want to give another warning to our viewers, just an alert for the next couple of minutes. We're going to be seeing some more footage from inside the operating room. You're going to see it right here on the screen. If you're squeamish, just listen in. It's a great program. We are going to show you what happens in the surgery room. So Dr. Holding, tell us about the procedure itself.
So Melody had a combination procedure of abdominoplasty and paniculectomy. And so just to kind of keep it relatively simple, there's different components of the abdomen that get stretched out. So it's not just the skin on the outside, but also the muscles of your abdominal wall, the six-pack muscles, the oblique muscles, those get separated as well. And so that can also lead to some roundness and also not as strong of a core no matter how much you exercise, kind of like some women after having babies. They can have that separation. So you want to lift up the skin to be able to pull it down and stretch it, but then also with the abdominoplasty portion, you can correct that abdominal wall and bring those muscles back together.
So we're watching this video of you rolling her excess skin back.
Yeah.
And then you're getting in there and actually tightening the abdominal muscles.
Yep, bringing them back together.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
People think it's a nip and tuck.
Right.
Or that it's cosmetic. Clearly, it's more than cosmetic. Dr. Dusza.
And sometimes they have hernias as well, so we'll often involve general surgery with us as well to fix their abdominal wall.
So there's a lot going on in the operating room. We have some footage of the skin that you actually removed. How much skin did you take off Melody?
There it is.
It's a sheet.
I know. It's kind of amazing because skin and fat, it really kind of drives home. Skin and fat does not weigh much. That was actually only 5 pounds. So it's pretty amazing how little, it weighs, but it's such a mass
Is that 3
of
feet,
tissue, especially on her because she's so petite.
It's like 3 feet of skin.
Yeah.
And Melody, how tall are you?
4 feet 9 inches tall.
So, did you say 5 feet? 4?
4.
4 foot?
No.
4'9".
4'9".
4'9".
Yeah.
So it's like almost as tall as her, 2 feet. That is wild. There are so many different kinds of skin removal surgeries. Doctors, what are the other common kinds of skin removal surgeries, Dr. D'Souza?
Often it's the arms and the legs, head to toe, really, sometimes the face, the neck.
The face?
The face
What do you do
too.
on the face?
Essentially a facelift, facelift with the neck as well.
Yeah.
Because the skin is,
Right.
would that impact the vocal cords? I'm just curious
No.
if
It's
it's
above that level.
hanging there.
It's just more. It's more the superficial layers.
superficial.
But
okay.
the you know, with aging, but also with weight loss, you lose some of the fat in your face, which then, you know, kind of makes you look a little more saggy and deflated
Right.
as well. So actually adding fat to the face, you know, fillers, Botox, fat, different things to help lift and smooth can be helpful. But essentially, just like this surgery, sometimes the best thing to do is just to excise it.
So having seen that, it looks like a major surgery. Melody, what was your recovery like?
It was a little bit rough, but I had a good support system. I'm still healing. It's been a month. I'm still healing, and yeah, it was kind of rough. It did feel major.
Mm-hmm. I'll imagine it's not something you just would bounce back from. Is what Melody's describing typical? What's the typical recovery that you see, Dr. Holder?
Yeah, I mean, actually, right now, I think she's doing really well.
She looks fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the tightening of the muscle tends to be what causes the most discomfort, you know, at least that from what I've seen, because it just feels so tight.
And there's a change in your posture and your core afterwards. So there's a little bit of getting used to walking around, and you're not being thrown forward as much as you were before.
And Melody, do you feel it in your stomach? Did you have to go in and repair her stomach muscles as well? What does that feel like, Melody, when you stand up now?
Mine didn't hurt much as far as muscles. I just try to make sure I pull my shoulders back and kind of stretch everything. And I didn't have a whole lot of pain.
Now, when you first wanted skin removal surgery, your insurance said no. It's so frustrating for everyone navigating insurance. It's frustrating for patients. It must be really frustrating for doctors who want to give their patients that kind of care. How do you convince an insurance company that this is medically necessary and they need to cover it?
Well, the trick, though, is first of all finding out if it's a covered benefit. So that's the first thing. So we can always work towards telling them the codes, the billing codes, and say, you know, find it's a covered benefit. And then what you'll often hear is, yes, if it's medically necessary. Well, the trick, though, is that we don't decide what's medically necessary. The insurance company gets to. So then what we have to do is find out, per the plan, what are the things that they consider necessary. So it's a little bit tricky in that sense.
Yeah. Certain criteria that insurance will require would be like things like the rashes that have failed medical treatment. They have to have the weight off for about 6 months to a year. They have to be stable at their weight for 6 months to a year before they can pursue surgery. They have to have lost weight through diet, exercise, or the surgeries. There's also sometimes a BMI requirement before they can have their surgery too.
What else would they have? Most people do lose weight through exercise or the surgery.
Right. Some of them have the weight loss medications now.
Yes.
And they won't cover skin removal for weight loss?
They will. They have to have enough of a weight loss.
Got it. So they really check and see. Does the just not being able to bend over and not being able to do things in your life count as medically necessary?
Depends on the insurance company, but sometimes they do want you to have some functional problems, and unfortunately, we can't argue that difficulty exercising is an issue. I've been told that that is not a necessary function.
Boy, that's too bad, because exercise saves lives.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you've done all the work, we're getting a lot of questions from our viewers. And as those questions continue to come in, quickly, Dr. D'Souza, what are the biggest misconceptions that you hear from people or even insurance companies about weight loss removal, skin removal surgery?
Well, I think there's a stigma that it's considered aesthetic or cosmetic surgery when it's reality it's functional surgery.
Right.
Then trying to get insurance coverage is sometimes a challenge. Patients might not even want to pursue it because maybe they didn't have their surgery covered in the first place. So a lot of times that's a barrier too.
Financial. We're here to answer your questions. Be sure to send them in using the links on your screen. We're everywhere, YouTube, Facebook, X, or you can email us at the Medical News Network. And while we give you another moment to send in those questions, we want to check in for the COVID count with Dr. Dana Hawkinson, Medical Director of Infection, Prevention, and Control here at the health system. Hi, Dr. Hawkinson.
Hi.
How are the new COVID numbers looking?
You know, we've been doing pretty good this week. We are down from, I think, 22 last week to 14 active inpatients. There were only 2 in the ICU, none of those on the ventilator. Again, just reporting the numbers weekly and having to pull those manually. Obviously, it's a little bit different than the peak of the pandemic when we had so many inpatients and had good, easy systems in place to be able to pull those numbers. But right now, 14 active inpatients, so that's good news, really.
The new COVID vaccine, more good news, is finally becoming available. The health system will finally offer the vaccine to patients starting next week. What do we need to know about that?
Yeah, so we know it's been frustrating with the rollout from the time they developed the new formulation to the actual getting it into the pharmacies, plus the pharmacies themselves have had issues with walkouts, things of that nature. But it will be becoming available at the health system. It is best to talk to your primary provider, and then hopefully as the supply continues to increase, we'll have them at the urgent cares and other clinics as well. So vitally important to get updated vaccine for COVID-19, especially if you're in that older age or have high risk. But we also have the influenza vaccine, which is available now, and RSV we will have here at the health system soon as well.
Just got my flu shot 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Feeling great. So
Yeah.
glad to get that one out of the way, not worry about that. There is some new CDC data, though, that's looking at who winds up in the hospital for COVID. And from January to August of this year, the report found it's still people who are older than 65 who end up needing the most serious care.
Yeah, and I think this goes to show what we've been saying is this really has become a disease. COVID-19 has become a disease of those most at risk, especially with older age and comorbid conditions. What they found was that adults age 65 and over accounted for almost 63% of the hospitalizations. Again, this is from January 2023 to August 2023. In most of those, 90% actually had 2 or more underlying conditions as well. Also, we talk about the vaccine, only 23% of those had vaccine. In addition, what I'd like to say is that, you know, there was a decrease in the overall hospitalizations for that age group. So it decreased by 86% from when there was the peak in July of 2021 for hospitalized patients as well. And again, these are for adults age 65 and over. Also, I'd like to say that in August 2023, the hospitalization rate, we have talked about how those older have accounted for more hospitalizations than other groups. The rate of hospitalization for those over 65 in August 2023 was 9 times greater than those who are aged 18 to 64. So this just continues to support the fact that if you are older, if you have medical conditions, it's best to have a plan if you do come down with symptoms. So that plan is to test early, and then if you're able to get on Paxlovid, which will significantly reduce your chance of hospitalization to severe disease. And if you can't take those because of drug interactions from other medications you might be on, molnupiravir is an option as well.
Okay. Want to bring it back to our skin removal discussion that we're having. Thank you, Dr. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Do we have any reporter questions today? All right, well, we have plenty of community questions, so let's get right to it. Right off the bat, we have one from one of our Facebook viewers, Yen Liang, and he wants to know, why doesn't the skin naturally shrink with the body? Why does that happen? What's that phenomenon?
Well, you only have a certain amount of elasticity of the skin, kind of similar to, say, a spring. You know, if you overstretch a spring,
you're going to break the spring.
You break the spring or you overstretch it. Some of the skin can go back. Additionally, if you have stretch marks are some damage and some scarring of that connective tissue of the skin. And so it's not necessarily going to go back.
June wants to know, what happens if I get the skin removed, but then I gain the weight back? Dr. D'Souza.
So that's one of the reasons that we look for someone that's had their weight stable for about 6 months. So that's an indication that they're not continuing to lose or gain weight. So any significant change in your weight, either up or down after surgery, would affect your results.
Marie has a question. Marie wants to know, one, Melody, did you get to see the skin when you woke up from surgery?
No, I didn't see the skin. I just, I seen a picture of it and was just shocked at how much it was.
And then Marie also wants to know, where does the skin go that you showed us in that video?
Well, we weighed it, and then it just was medical waste.
Medical waste.
Disposal into the trash. No more.
Goes off. Bye. Bye-bye. Jonas has a question. Jonas writes, I've seen commercials for laser liposuction. What's laser liposuction?
It's an addition to liposuction that's meant to help tighten the skin. I think it's got variable results. You have to heat the skin quite significantly in order for it to contract. So it's kind of user dependent.
Okay.
And then the liposuction, you know, if you've already lost weight, you'd be removing more adipose or fat tissue. So you'd be deflating the skin even more.
You're still going to have the extra skin.
If you've lost a lot of weight,
Right.
that's not a great option. I mean, it's an option, but it's
Sure.
you're going to not really get as dramatic results.
If you've lost more than 100 pounds and you've got, Melody was
Well,
dealing
and
with.
some people, you know, even if they've lost 50 pounds, you can still have a significant amount of excess skin, just depending on the person.
That's true. John wants to know, do the doctors mostly see patients who lose weight from bariatric surgery? And then how often do you see people who lose weight from lifestyle changes?
Right, it's more bariatric surgery because it's such a significant and dramatic weight loss. But over the recent months, we've seen people that have been on the weight loss medications, and they've lost a significant amount of weight too.
So you're starting to see more weight loss medication patients.
I've been seeing a lot of combination patients as well. So patients who've had the bariatric surgery and who hit a plateau,
Right.
and then they get on the medications and they lose some more. These are the ones that, like Ozempic and Wegovy and those sorts of things. The very few, I would say maybe 5%, I see major weight loss with diet and exercise. And it's kind of funny, yesterday I saw somebody who lost over 200 pounds with diet and exercise. So it's just amazing to me how, I mean, even with bariatric surgery, you still have to make a big lifestyle change.
Right. Then keep it going. And skin removal surgery helps you continue to be active. Dr. Hawkinson, got a question for you from Paul Slavin, one of our Facebook viewers. Paul asks, what level of risk exists with not wearing a mask indoors, like at a coffee shop? Here in the KC Metro, I haven't the most recent vaccination yet, but I am healthy. That's what Paul says.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a level of risk when you are in enclosed spaces with other people around. And so you just really have to judge what is your risk if you get infected and get the disease. And I think that's the biggest thing. But certainly smaller enclosed spaces, more people will give you a risk, especially now as we know there is pretty good or higher circulation of SARS-CoV-2 in the community. Right now, there doesn't seem to be that much circulation of influenza virus. There is still a moderate amount of RSV. But certainly, you always have a risk when you are in those situations. And hopefully over the last 3 years, a lot of people have learned to judge their risk on what their risk would be if they get infected, but also the risk of those situations that they go into. And remember, it is always okay to wear a mask. I think there are a few more people wearing masks right now compared to a few months ago, but it is always okay. And wearing a mask will help reduce your chance of infection, even if those and others around you are not wearing a mask. So it is always okay.
Jenny texted me. Jenny wants to know, Dr. Hawkinson, if you have any insight on whether or not the air in an airplane is safer or more dangerous. We've heard those conflicting reports that the air on an airplane is more filtered. What would be your expert opinion on masking in an airplane and the air that's circulating in the plane?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the airplane as a whole, they have fairly good airflow and currents and recycling of the air. Certainly if you are sitting next to somebody who is coughing, you're probably going to be at quite higher risk as opposed to if they are in the back where the air is being circulated and driven in a certain area. So yeah, I mean, I think if you're sitting in proximity to someone, it is probably safer to mask. You will have a reduced risk of getting infected if that person is actively coughing or sneezing and has otherwise symptoms of illness. Also remember, it is vitally important in those small enclosed spaces to not touch your hands to your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and use frequent hand hygiene either with soap and water or the alcohol sanitizers.
May has a question for our doctors on the set with me. May wants to know, what are the most important questions to ask before undergoing a skin removal procedure? Dr. Dusza, I'll start with you.
I would ask to make sure that your surgeon is board certified or at least board eligible, but definitely board certified in plastic surgery. We're especially trained to do these types of surgeries, and so sometimes the bariatric surgeons, maybe in the community, will offer skin removal as well. This is something that we're kind of specially trained to do, so I would seek us out specifically.
Dr. Holding, as Dr. D'Souza, this is your passion. You're trained in this.
Yeah, and we know kind of what to expect as far as, how to help you with the recovery, best things that you can do for the recovery, and, counseling as far as, revision surgeries actually are very common, meaning, because the skin that's left behind is still skin that was, kind of damaged or, compromised from being stretched, you'll still have some of that and it will restretch a little bit. And so depending on how much we take off, the more that we take off, the more likely you are to have problems with a little bit of delayed healing, restretch of the skin, those sorts of things. So just trying to help you along with that and give you the tools to know what to expect.
Right. And Melody said she felt so calmed coming to see you and coming to the health system because she felt like she was being treated by people who knew their stuff.
Yeah,
and
she had seen another surgeon who tried to push it through insurance twice, and I guess it was denied. I'm not quite sure, what the situation was,
But she came to you, and it worked out. That's a good success story. This discussion has been fantastic. Often the discussions continue online, so as we get more questions throughout the day, I'll be sending them to our experts here and get them answered for you. We're so grateful to Melody and to our doctors for being here. I want to bring everyone in for some final thoughts. Melody, what would be your final message to people watching this program right now?
I think weight loss surgery is a tool. You can't just think it's a simple fix. It's not. And advocate for yourself with your insurance, and if at all possible, get the skin taken off.
And you're feeling on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. How are you feeling now? It hasn't been long since your skin removal surgery. How are you feeling this morning?
This morning, I feel 10.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Dr. D'Souza, what would be your final message?
Well, board certification, and men get this surgery too, so it's not just for women.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's everyone deserves to lose weight and feel great about it. Dr. Holding, your message?
I just kind of second everything that we've said so far, but just remember this is about you, and you've done all the hard work. We're here to work with you, help you, and we'll be pretty straightforward and honest with you about what you can expect and what insurance will require. So it's just helpful that we work together as a team.
And that you're with a team that knows this whole topic inside and out, which clearly doctors you do. And this has been so great to have you with us. Thank you very much. And thank you again to our viewers and to Melody for sharing your journey. You're going to help so many people. And remember, as Dr. Stites always says, faith, hope, and science. The medication for one of the most common prostate problems could affect your heart. I'm Alexis Del Cid on the next All Things Heart, the minimally invasive alternative with faster recovery and fewer risks, Thursday at 8 a.m.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and open mics with Dr. Stites podcasts. Now everywhere podcasts are available.